Welcome to Shut Up Football. I'm Jeff Stoltzfus. That's Kevin. Last week, we saw Drake Maye and Spencer Rattler get their first pro starts. An unexpected breakout from Bucs running back Sean Tucker, and Caleb Williams looked the part in London. Plus, the Lions made the Cowboys look stupid. I mean, they did. Let's have a look back at Week 6 of the NFL season.
It was a good day for Brock Purdy. 3 touchdowns. 2 to George Kittle, who celebrated with teammate Kyle Juszczyk by FaceTiming their wives. Unfortunately, the broadcast outed Purdy as a San Francisco poor. Damn it, it's hard enough for him to get laid when he looks like a kid who just won a trip to a chocolate factory. Jordan Mason looked completely unstoppable until he was stopped. He was forced from the game with a boo-boo, only to return in small bursts like Morse code. Laviska Shenault returned a kick for 97 yards and a score. Tell the people, Vishka!
Something about Soundgarden, maybe?
DK Metcalf had an off day. Dropping passes and looking like a slack-jawed yokel, he showed the bench presence of a stoner waiting out a hot pocket. If farting was an Olympic sport, Nick Bosa nailed how I would pose for it. No gold, no silver, only bronze medals and a tarp to keep the front row from getting freckles. This game took a turn when Al Michaels made a startling confession.
You know, it's hard to get the demons out of your head.
And in that moment, Kirk Herbstreit knew his days as exorcist to the stars would never truly be behind him. Kyle Shanahan is a top offensive mind, like his famous play where 2 tight ends merged to form a bigger tight end. For a second there, I thought Eric Saubert chose this exact moment to murder George Kittle on a national stage. That's a very Shakespearean way to move up the depth chart. Mike McDonald said they're going to dissect the heck out of this thing, cause nothing shows confidence in your season like a vivisection. The Jags were back in the UK, bringing an uneasiness the streets of London hadn't experienced since Jack the Ripper. Caleb Williams was showing out. 2 touchdowns to Cole Kmet. 2 touchdowns to Keenan Allen, who threw a tea party. That's right, England. We know exactly one thing about you. Coach Peterson said the Jaguars were making self-inflicted wounds. Don't worry, I got a pamphlet for that. It's from my days as a teenage girl. Trevor Lawrence found Gabe Davis for 2 scores, but it didn't matter. The Jaguars can move all the furniture they want. They're still just living in the NFL's basement. London will see the Jags again next week. It seems England left the EU only to be saddled with the EU. Baker Mayfield tossed 3 interceptions, including one that bounced off his receiver's hands. He made up for it by throwing 4 touchdowns, including 2 to Chris Godwin. Rashad White was absent from this game. Not to worry, Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker made him look completely irrelevant. They combined for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Don't worry, Rashad, you're still RB1 here, the coaches probably said, followed by an inordinate amount of winking and nodding. Spencer Rattler got his first pro start for the Saints. He is an odd-looking fella. It looks like someone tried to carve Patrick Mahomes out of a sweet potato. Bub Means, which sounds like a cryptocurrency only good at Cracker Barrel, scored his first pro touchdown. Will we see this duo again next week? Better question, how fast can we greenlight an original 1-hour pilot about bounty hunters called Means and Rattler? Welcome to the Battle of Maryland. Winner gets crabs. It was Lamar Jackson versus Jayden Daniels, Coke versus Pepsi, Chipotle versus any other day with diarrhea. Speaking of runs, Derrick Henry broke off another 100 yards plus and 2 touchdowns. Zay Flowers led the Ravens in receiving. He had more yak than Tibet. Jayden Daniels threw 2 touchdowns to Terry McLaurin, but the Ravens took command late. It was wet everywhere, including the cheese. Jordan Love threw 4 touchdowns, hitting all his receivers like they owed him money. Romeo Doubs made bad idea balls look smart, nabbing 2 tutties of his own. Penalties and turnovers plagued the Cardinals all game. For as much life as they showed, they might as well have driven to the stadium in a hearse. Will Levis was back from injury. Thank God, said 95 yards and an interception. Leaning on Tony Pollard proved to be a much better idea. Josh Downs got the volume for the Colts, with 7 receptions and 1 score. Alec Pierce wanted a flag, and he showed little regard for the corpse lying next to him. That man died defending you. If this was war, he'd get a statue. Michael Pittman played despite a back injury. Instead of injured reserve, he caught a touchdown. Joe Flacco called him one of the toughest players he'd ever played with. But I'll be the judge of that after I hit him square in the back. Drake Maye wasn't perfect in his first start, but he showed promise. He tossed 3 touchdowns and somehow led the team in rushing. No, he led them in hope. Burn your Brady jerseys. It's gonna be May. Will Anderson Jr. was everywhere, racking up sacks and deflecting balls. The Texans forced a fumble, and Edwards immediately fell asleep on it. A savvy veteran move. C.J. Stroud had 3 touchdowns of his own, and Joe Mixon helped sour the Patriots' sneak peek at the sun. What is the sound of one hand clapping? The Eagles versus the Browns. They said Deshaun Watson could make every throw, which is highly impressive when you spend more time on your back than a narcoleptic sex worker. I guess all the throws don't include touchdowns. Neither team even saw the red zone until the 4th quarter. Not that there weren't points. A.J. Brown finally saw some action this season, and the Browns returned a blocked field goal for a score. Deshaun Watson was pointless in this game. Coach Sirianni celebrated by fighting with the fans. It doesn't count if you don't flip a cop car. Jim Harbaugh left this game briefly. They said it was a medical issue, which I believe puts Boltman in charge. Everything the light touches is yours. Don't worry, he came back. He's gonna die the way he lived, wearing khakis. Justin Herbert hit rookie Kamani Vidal for his first score. J.K. Dobbins scored again. They said he held the ball like a loaf of bread. Who's holding bread like that? Your grocery shopping is all wrong. Bo Nix was running for his life. He was twitchy and slippery. Bo knows baby oil. He led the Broncos in rushing with 61 yards and threw a touchdown to Cortland Sutton, who only needed 1 hand. This game was close until it wasn't. Najee Harris squirted for 100 yards, which I assume is the past tense of squirt, and if it's not, it should be. Justin Fields had an undeniable touchdown that was denied just because he was observably beyond the line of scrimmage. He's better at running them in anyway, which he did twice in this game. The Steelers blocked a punt. How do they do it? They must spend all week practicing going completely unblocked up the middle. The Falcons ran Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier for nearly 200 yards. Don't worry, they took turns. My suggestion of a horse costume fell on deaf ears. They combined for 3 scores. Aerial coverage provided by Lucas Oil. Oil, it's your car's blood. Xavier Legette scored a touchdown. They said he enjoys horses. I wish he enjoyed race cars instead. It would be adorable to see him shift gears and drive around an imaginary car like some whimsical child. Andy Dalton was picked off twice. They said he got greedy, but I don't see how given all the balls he's giving away. He sounds like a nice guy with bad depth perception. Stay gold, pony boy. The Lions handed the Cowboys a brutal beating in their own stadium on Jerry Jones' birthday. Tom Brady was on the call, but I elected for an alternate commentary by throwing a bunch of silverware into my garbage disposal. I won't let you ruin this for me, Brady. Through the air, on the ground, they floated down a lazy river made of Cowboys fans' tears. Dak Prescott threw 2 interceptions. He started calling plays in a made-up language. Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson had them tossing balls to their offensive linemen and gave more dramatic looks than a child listening to their parents discuss dessert options in a restaurant. Jared Goff threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Cowboys couldn't find the end zone if someone had dug a tunnel straight to it. Usually when you get beat this hard in Texas, Daddy buys you a steak after. It was Joe Burrow versus Daniel Jones. Neither one threw a single touchdown, and they both led their teams in rushing. Burrows came early when he popped like a zit on a 47-yard scamper for a score. It probably earned him a cool nickname, like Jojo Rabbit or the Sizzler. It's almost diabolical the way Brian Dable calls designed runs, just to keep Daniel Jones from throwing interceptions.
This one's poison, right?
Has anyone ever admitted to unintentional grounding? Try a little misdirection. This game was a low-scoring slugfest, like an underground boxing tournament for munchkins. And maybe it doesn't have to be underground, but that's just where I keep it. Cause once you let them see the sun, they feel like people again. What was I talking about? The Jets fired Robert Saleh and replaced him with Jeff Ulbrich, who I've been assured is a person. Todd Downing was made the new OC, all to appease Aaron Rodgers, because it's like they say, happy wife, happy life. Rookie Ray Davis broke out for nearly 100 yards and made some snuggly-juggly catches. He had a heartwarming backstory about growing up in a coffee can under a sink or something. I don't remember, I was eating cake. Rodgers threw a perfect Hail Mary at the end of the first half, and Alan Lazard came down with it. One official said it was incomplete, but then another, I assume much bigger ref, overruled him. It's nice to know there's a social order to refs, and it's based on size. Javon Kinlaw was flagged after he said some shit to an official. Did he tell them to screw themselves? They're from New York, that's just their culture. Rodgers fumbled, or did he? They called it incomplete, and then talked about it at length. I haven't seen this much debate about a tuck since I cosplayed as Buffalo Bill. Flags were flying everywhere. They said both sides were holding. That's just a hug. Look at them, shoving those things down their pants. Was that even yours? You don't know. We already made a joke about crabs. Don't make this a callback. Aaron Rodgers looked vexed, also known as resting Rodgers face. Don't worry, Aaron. Devontae Adams is on the way. I can't wait to watch the Green Bay Packers from 4 years ago again. If I were Jordy Nelson, I'd hedge my bets and just show up.
And now, the soft pretzel of the week.
Yummy.
This week, the pretzel goes to Sean Tucker. I was a huge fan of Tucker's coming out of Syracuse. I thought he had real RB1 potential. Unfortunately, there were some medical concerns and he went undrafted. The Bucs seemed like the perfect place to land as a UDFA because Rachaad White's grasp on the starting job seemed a little shaky. But then they drafted Bucky Irving this year, and I wondered if Tucker would ever get the chance. Well, he finally did last week. Congrats, Sean. I hope we get to see more. Enjoy your pretzel and stay salty, my friend. Thank you so much for watching Shut Up Football. We do appreciate it. Please leave your comments below. Say hi to your mom for me, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.